What's going on, everybody? It's Jared from Gaming Headquarters, and today I'm excited to bring to you a new game series that I'm going to start that's very similar to the Elder Scrolls Online series that I've already got going on, and that's going to be for the Star Trek Online game. So, Star Trek Online, a very similar concept to the Elder Scrolls Online, except, well, it's off of a series that's been around since the early 70s, I believe, maybe late 60s. So, it's been around for some time. Star Trek Online, free to play game that you can download and access the content for free. It does have a lot of perks to buying the subscriber package and things like that, but not everybody has $150 to shell out. So, can't blame you if you don't want to do it. I did it, but it's definitely worth it. All right, so this series is going to be basically similarly designed to the Elder Scrolls Online, except it has one big difference. This game doesn't really have side quests per se. This one is very, very one-lined in how the quests progress. So you progress from quest to quest to quest until you get to whatever the latest expansion is. So there is no side quest, there is no main quest, there's just quests. So my plan for this is that we're going to do, as you can see on the screen currently, there are different factions you can choose. So the big three, really, in my opinion, would be Starfleet, would be the Klingon Defense Force, or the KDF, and the Romulan Republic. So the reason I say big three in air quotes is, and really it's big two, but big three is because Discovery, Starfleet, the Dominion, and then TOS Starfleet, along with the Romulan Republic, they are all, I don't want to say parasites or leeches, but they kind of are, in the sense of that each of them have their own little starting set of missions, but then they can merge over into Starfleet or the Klingon Defense Force. So it's kind of one of those where you're just like, in all reality, the only two unique storylines you've got are Starfleet and the Klingon Defense Force. So I'm going to start with Starfleet, and then I'm going to progress to the Klingon Defense Force, and then from there I will do the Discovery Starfleet, the Dominion, the TOS Starfleet, and the Romulan Republic starting quests, up to the point into which you merge over into the Starfleet and the Klingon Defense Force lines. I might change goals depending upon how I want to play the KDF part of it, and the reason I say that is because in all reality, the Starfleet and the KDF storylines are very, very identical, with the exception of the beginning areas. So, it's kind of one of those you just have to kind of pick and choose how you want to watch these. But, you know, I just think that picking one and going with it is the best way to go. So, we're going to start with a Starfleet character. So, as you can see on this page, you will choose which faction you want to go with. You'll hit next. You can choose your species. Now, a lot of these species are going to be locked at first because you have to pay for them, you have to unlock them, etc. With the premium currency, Zen. Sorry, that's off the top of my head. Zen, which is also a universal currency that they use in different games. So even if you don't use it in this game, you find another game you like, the Zen, depending on how it's bought and things like that, can transfer over. So, you can sit here and you can choose whatever you'd like. And, in the next tab, as you can see, you can choose your career. So you can choose to be an engineer, you can be a science officer, or you can be a tactical officer. Really, all that determines is what kind of abilities are you going to unlock not only for your character, but what are you able to easily train other bridge officers in? And I'll get into the kind of the bridge officer concept as we go along throughout the series. Um, Really, if you've never played before, I would say if you've played any kind of MMO before, think about what you would kind of do in terms of the other ones. So, for example, Starfleet engineering officers, they tend to be tanks. Your science officers tend to be your healers, or as my friend Eric would like to say, space wizards, because he has a really good space wizard build that absolutely destroys anything in its path. And then tactical officers, obviously, they are tend to be your DPS style characters. So you just have to choose whatever feels right to you and go with it. So I think for this series' sake, we're going to go with a tactical officer. Just go straight DPS. It's easy, it's direct, it's to the point, and it's not too complicated for people to get the grasp of. You'll hit next again. And now you can go in to modify your appearance, etc., stuff like that. Whenever you're happy with that, you'll then choose a captain name. You can do an optional formal name, which, if I'm not mistaken... Okay, it doesn't. So you can hit the random button and it'll fill it in for you randomly, or you can write it all in yourself. Ship name also you can write in yourself, or you can hit the random button and it will randomly choose it for you. Then you're going to hit engage. So I'm going to go ahead and design this character, give it a name, ship name, all of this other stuff, and I will see you once that is completed. Alright guys, and we're back. So, I've decided to go ahead and create me a Caitian tactical officer. His name is going to be Rur, because, rar, right? And the ship name is going to be the USS Brooklyn. And, in my opinion, ship name's not that important, just because at the end of the day, you're going to get more ships, the name's going to change, so you can keep it in the same if you'd like. Kind of like how the Enterprise, it went from Enterprise to Enterprise A, Enterprise B, Enterprise C, and it continued out throughout history as the USS Enterprise, and just threw on that TAC Alpha, Bravo, Charlie, Delta at the very end. You can do the same thing, and we might do the same thing with this one, honestly. As we go, just keep the USS Brooklyn, and, we'll kind of A, B, C, D, E, F, G, all the way, however many ships we get with this character. So, without further ado, engage. Alright, so, as you can see, it's asking me would I like to replay the tutorial. Obviously, I've been playing for 6, 7, 8 years now, so I've created a lot of characters, killed a lot of characters, kind of gone back and forth with it over time, so... You can choose whether you'd like to skip it, whether you'd like to play it or not. However, this screen, as it says right here in the notes section, this will be the only opportunity you have to skip the tutorial. So, kind of make your decision wisely. However, for the sake of this video, I'm going to go ahead and play the tutorial.
After I left Starfleet, I made it my life's work to reunite the Romulans with their Vulcan brothers. For many years, I lived among them and waged a campaign of peace. Live long. 21 years ago, the star of the Hova system went supernova and sent a wave of devastation across the quadrant. I promised to save the Romulan homeworld. I failed. The planets Romulus and Remus were destroyed. Countless billions were killed. My home, my friends, my life, all are memories. Time does not stop for one man, and neither does history. The chaos in Romulan space gave the Klingon Empire an opportunity to expand its territory. Jimpak, the Chancellor of the High Council, traded diplomacy for the tip of a blade. Only in battle, Jim Fox says, is a Klingon truly Klingon. The Federation did its utmost to preserve its alliance with the Klingons, but war was inevitable. The Romulans want revenge for their lost world. The Dominion is rebuilding its forces. Now the Borg have reappeared, and the Alpha Quadrant balances on the edge of ruin. The fate of the galaxy rests in your hands.
Alright, and just like that, that was the little intro video. If you're a true fan of Star Trek and you do miss Leonard Nimoy, that's definitely going to hit you in the feelings. As many of you know, he passed away a few years ago, and it's kind of sad because a lot of our heroes from the Star Trek universe are starting to pass. So, you know, it definitely hits you in the feels a little bit. So, yeah, so here we are. We are at Starfleet Academy here on Earth. So, the starting zone will change from faction to faction. For example, when you play the KDF, you will be going to their academy on Kronos. When you're doing the Romulan Republic, it will be at Virenat. And I don't remember the other ones too well. I do apologize, but I don't really play those too often just because, you know, I prefer the OG content. So, yeah. So as you can see here, it shows you how to move, stuff like that. Now, if you have played Elder Scrolls Online already, because you've watched my other content, what I will have to advise you is the movement system in that game compared to this game is very different. It's definitely going to catch you off guard if you started out with that. So it'll take a little bit of getting used to, but I think that ultimately, you know, you will learn, adapt, and overcome. So you can see here you can disable your help pop-ups if you need to. You can see you have your HUD here, very standard in most MMOs. You have a mini-map at the top. You have a character, little portrait with your health and your shields. Have a little chat window if you want to chat with your people. You have your skill bar, your little weapons bar here. This shows all of the different effects you've got going on. I tend to turn that off in the HUD settings, which you can access by hitting the escape button, rearrange your HUD, and you can hide your boosts. I just personally, to me, I see no value in that. So, you know, do with that information what you will. And you can also see here that some of your different things you're able to hide. You know, your Endeavor tracker, for example, won't be available until you hit a certain level in your Admiral experience. So that one could be a good one to hide at the start, but don't forget to turn back on because the Endeavor system is very important, which I will eventually make a video on. And whenever you're done, you can hit escape to leave the rearrange HUD menu. So, our objective, as you can see here on the right hand side, is to move forward. So we'll go talk to Cadet Elisa Flores. She's basically saying, you can see the little exclamation point here. That's going to be how you know you can talk to somebody to get a quest.
Finally, I was beginning to think you forgot
So,
what today was.
again, kind of like with the ESO series, you can read the quest on your own. We don't really have time for that. I just wanted to show you the cinematic at the beginning because, well, it's cool.
Oh, cool.
So, next we're going to go speak with Mr. Koles. I apologize, it's Cadet Raziki. I forget we don't get Koles till later. They're the same species, so in my defense, they do look the same. So now we're going to go speak with Trevelle. She's going to be a part of your bridge crew, so is Miss Flores.
It was Morik with...
Your mini-map shows you where your objectives are. An arrow will appear on...
Now we're going to go speak with Mr. Morik. So a little bit about bridge officers as we're going along. So bridge officers are essentially companions that you can use on your ship to give you extra abilities, and when you go to do ground missions and things of that nature, they allow you to basically they basically assist you with everything you're trying to do. Um,
The direction of your objective
so, choosing the right bridge officers and the right,
can interact with have a glow around them.
configuration is very crucial when you start getting to in-game content. However, right now it's not going to really matter. You can choose different dialogue options, and it'll give you different, sub-dialogue options. I don't remember if this game has any choices like Elder Scrolls Online does when it comes
I got
to
the tactical officer slot.
choices to how it affects your missions.
Seems most of
So,
our class ended up on Captain
If
Taggart.
that does appear as we're going through the series, I will be sure to notate that at the time that it occurs, just so that way we don't, have I didn't know there was multiple options, and now I've, made a choice I wouldn't have normally made, and then you have to restart your quest, and
Have
it
you
just
seen the whales in San Francisco Bay?
becomes a whole
I've
nightmare.
never seen you spot them.
So what you're going to do is just follow this path.
Sometimes forget that you
She's
see
going to be
them
running
out there.
behind
She
you,
seems like such a fixture
trying to
here
make
at
sure she
Starfleet
actually keeps
Academy.
running, because...
To sprint, tap the shift key.
Okay. So sometimes you can outrun her. If that's the case, just go back over to her and keep her moving. Sometimes you're able to run and just kind of go all the way to town. So she is going to try to race you here. So,
Last one of the console buys the first round tonight.
but you think as a cat you'd be a lot faster than a human, but we can all be wrong sometimes. All right. So you'll speak with her here.
It's standard stuff. Phasers are in the
You'll go through these doors right here. Take yourself all the way to the back. Go over here to the phaser locker and grab yourself a phaser. Now what you're about to do is you're about to engage in the combat tutorial part, where they're going to teach you about ground combat. So, like most games, you're going to get it. It's been automatically equipped in this case. However, if you would like to see your loadout, you just hit U on your keyboard, and this will pull up your character sheet. So you can see here the weapons section, your different ground devices like your heals or pets or whatever, your shields, your body armor, kit mods, and stuff like that. And it'll also show you here your health regen, shields, basic stuff that you would find in any MMORPG style game. You can see here the button here named inventory. You can hit it to open your inventory, or you just simply hit I. So, for now, it's really all you need to know about that. Now we're going to go in and we're going to begin the combat simulation. So, you have a mode that is, I can't remember for the life of me what it's called. I think it's called FPS mode. But what you'll do is you'll hit X, and as you can see, you've gone into an immediate fight mode. Normally it doesn't act like this, so I wonder what's broken now.
Fire your weapon.
So basic combat's going to be, 1 and 2 will be your basic firing buttons. 3 will be a melee attack. Now the only thing I have to say on this is that there are some weapons that you can get, like the Breen Ice weapon, that the third option will be an AoE instead of a melee attack, and then there's the cyclic pistol, which will, instead of it being a melee attack, it will be, you can change the modulation on your weapon. And the reason you might want to do that is some enemies are resistant to more of certain kinds of damages than others. And you also have, like, the Borg will of course adapt to modulations and stuff like that, but also you'll have endeavors when you get into the endeavor system where it may say do X amount of disruptor damage or do X amount of tetrion damage, plasma damage. So instead of having to sit here and keep one of each kind of weapon in your bank, they have a cyclic weapon bundle that you can buy that will allow you to just push a button and you can change your energy type. So I have that on my characters. It's something I bought in the Zen store a while ago, so I won't be using it on this. Obviously, we're just trying to stick more to the storyline than anything else, so let's get to it. I don't know why don't know why it's not working the way it's supposed to. Normally it's supposed to pop up and your mouse kind of turns into an ESO feel to how the movement speed is. But
Well done,
yeah,
cadets.
so you'll talk to him. It'll be your first officer.
First officer, way to go. Just a little jealous. Yes,
I like
sir.
this
Right away,
answer.
sir. May I get
Did you erect a Geno, sir?
You'll do
That is funny, in my opinion.
Your objective locations can also be found on your
Alright,
compass,
you're gonna come
as
down
well as
here,
your minimap.
take a
Now
left.
hear this. All cadets report to shuttle bay to prepare for departure.
So now you've completed the ground combat portion. Now you're about to go up to space, and you're going to engage in space combat. So, you're going to come here, you're going to lead a toast, you know, do whatever you gotta do. It doesn't really matter which option you choose, just let that be kind of at your discretion. You'll do a toast, go over to this officer,
Are you ready to head to the
go ahead and leave. And now a cinematic for you. So I'll be quiet and let you enjoy the cinematic, and I will see you at the conclusion.
I can't believe we're finally doing this. Oh, look at that. The USS Vesta, first of her class. She's got subsystem targeting, a crew of 750, auxiliary phaser cannons, and even a quantum field focus controller. I can't wait to captain one someday. But here's our ship. Miranda class, 200 crew, 2 forward weapon mounts, 1 aft, average speed, warp 5 point nothing. She's a tough little ship though. I think I like her. We're the final shuttle to arrive. We need to get to the bridge.
And just like that, here we are aboard the docking bays of the Miranda class vessel, the USS Brooklyn.
I'm going to check.
So go ahead and talk to her. We'll run down here and check in with her and go straight to the bridge. Now,
I have your Captain Tagger.
as you kind of saw, you have different ships, and you also may have heard her mention about the weapon mounts and things like that, which you could find if you go hit U, and then go to the USS Brooklyn. You can see it has kind of weapon configurations that are the overall ship's configurations similarly to your personal inventory. So now not only do you have a ship inventory, but now you also have a personal inventory.
Welcome to the bridge, number 1.
Alright,
Early in my... But first, we
Cool.
need to get out of dry dock.
Earth travel.
Very good, number
do
1.
these.
Very good, number 1.
Alright. Now here's a little thing if you want to seem smart in an RP sense. Once you release the tractor moorings, you will then have a option, and this is why I say if you want to be smart, if you actually pay attention to Star Trek lore,
Potter, take us out. 1/4 impulse.
you can see he tells you to do 1/4 impulse. Now you can either remain silent and, you know, not call the captain out, or call his ass out and say, you know, you could only do with thrusters in the vicinity of space dock.
Just checking to see if you were paying attention.
I always do
number
that.
1. Potter,
Just because, you know,
Right-click on the
I'm a nerd. So, right click on the chair, you can sit down, and now another cinematic for you.
Cleared from dry dock, Captain.
good. Let's start with something easy. Set course for Vulcan.
Course laid in, sir.
Engage.
Captain, I'm picking up an automated distress call from the SS Breakeven. Their warp core is failing, and they require immediate assistance.
Let them know we're on our way. Potter, lay in a rendezvous course.
Altering course, sir. ETA 3 minutes. They are not responding to our hails.
Keep trying, Travell. Their long-range comms might be down. Number one, let's discuss the situation.
Cool, yeah, you know, typical Star Trek stuff. Something always goes wrong when something's supposed to be laid out.
Absolutely, indeed.
So,
We also don't know what led to this situation.
you can choose either
It could have
option.
been an accident or the result of an attack.
Yellow alert is
Raising
always the best
shields
way
does seem to be a reason
to go
Indeed.
about it.
Yellow alert, raise shield.
So, you're gonna do that, and now another cinematic.
Still no response from the break-even, Captain.
Scan them. Maybe they're unable to respond to our signal.
Captain, our shields are collapsing.
Flores, return fire. Atom Delta Sierra 9.
Well, there go the shields. Not good. Engineering to bridge.
Go ahead, engineering.
Sir, the Borg are here. We need help.
The Borg. That was an update they actually added in
Right.
rather
I want
recently.
you
You know, the OG story used to be that the captain was kidnapped by the Klingons, and you know, you had to go kill some Klingons, which at the time, you know, considering you are enemies, it's kind of like, what else is new? But so they changed it to the Borg, I believe, as a response to the Discovery / Picard series, all that other stuff. Because, you know, I know that I haven't watched the shows myself, but I have heard a lot of, you know, Borg related stuff in those shows. So whip it to your. Okay, it's being a bit of a pain. Yes.
Status report.
Alright. Ah, B. I'm sorry. I hit X. That's why it wasn't changed into first person shooter mode. It's B. Now you can use your keyboard or your mouse in order to hit keyboard buttons. And that's kind of how you get the ESO feel to it. As you can see, loot has now was dropped, so you can hit F to get it.
You can do extra damage to enemies by flanking them. Try attacking your enemies on their sides or behind them.
Like they were talking about, you know, flanking damage is very important. Alright, get rid of these pop-ups.
Hangar Bay 1 has been compromised.
You can treat the cadet. Speak with him. Back out the door. Go down here to. Oh. I apologize. They want us to beam now. Forgot. It used to be you go directly out to the turbo lift. That would be right there, and you would take the turbo lift down to engineering, but they have been changing things of late.
Your timing is fortuitous, sir. We are making a push to retake main engineering.
Press C to crouch. Crouching is a defensive bonus against ranged attacks, but increases damage from melee attacks.
Gonna fight through
Press X to aim
this
your weapon.
cluster of troops.
Bonus to damage.
Alright, fine, there's more of them somewhere. Clear out main engineering. They've actually opened up engineering a little bit. It's odd for a Miranda class, you'd almost have a Voyager style build for main engineering. Whatever, I'm not gonna bore you with nerd stuff.
Not good. Not good. We need to go now. Quick, release the plasma coolant.
This is a kickback to Star Trek movies where they do this to save the USS Enterprise E from the Borg attack. It's First Contact, I believe.
It worked! Data, you mad android!
Number one.
Go. See to the bridge. We will secure main engineering.
Alright, now we're gonna go down to the turbolift. Go inside, go to the bridge. And fight the intruders here on the bridge.
The bridge is secure.
Alright, now we'll go around and heal our injured crewmates. Got one here. Go over here to Travell.
You have my gratitude.
Alright, another cutscene.
Nice work, number one. Looks like that phaser training paid off.
Captain, look out!
So here, it used to be that the captain was kidnapped by Klingons.
Captain, the Borg vessel has gone to war. Based on the amount.
Now, we are dealing with the Borg. So, that is the first little tutorial quest, Training Cruise. You go down here, you will assume the captain's chair, because you are now the captain. And now we jump over to the space thing. The space combat, not really a thing. So obviously,
Reporting in, sir.
I have been
I think she... Still running, guy.
hailing the.
so we got speed here, energy levels, you know, your different bridge officer abilities, your personal abilities. You use WASD, W and S look up and down, A and D look left and right. You can hit R to go to maximum thrusters, Shift R to do full impulse once that is available to you. However, at this time it's not available to you.
I've stopped us this time, sir. But from now on, you'll be responsible for adjusting the speed of the ship.
No life forms detected. The ship is broadcasting its distress signal via.
Turn this off.
I put together a damage...
Scan for your parts.
Bingo! I found some suitable debris in the boneyard nearby. Destroy 3 of those nacelles, and we should get the parts we need.
Press the spacebar to
Alright. Yeah, spacebar will fire your weapons. You can see mine are green, so if you were to right click on them, that will turn them green, which means that they will automatically fire whenever you locked onto a target, and you're able to use them. The reason I say to be able to use them
Unfortunately,
is because if you hover over like your phaser bank, for example, you'll see this little mesh grid that's appeared. That is your targeting arc. So phaser banks have 250 degree targeting arcs, while torpedoes only have a 90. So if you're not in the same direction as your targeting arc, then you are unfortunately unable to use that weapon. The only weapon that can truly fire in a 360 degree arc are going to be turrets, but turrets are also going to be weaker than normal weaponry. So it's kind of one of those you have to pick and choose how you lay it out.
long-range communications are operational, sir. Shall I send the distress signal? Captain, the now.
It's pretty far out, sir. We should use the ship's...
Here's where they'll
full
teach you
impulse
about
power
full
to
pulse
reach it.
impulse
This
power.
will temporarily take power from other systems.
Essentially what she says is if you watch, so I'm going to change mine over to section 2 just because it looks cooler. If you watch, when I go to full impulse power, power is drained from both weapons, shields, and auxiliary systems to give me engine power. And then whenever I arrive,
Vessels on sensor.
I have to then drop out of full impulse, and as you can see, it's taking just a little bit of time to get me from full impulse power back to normal power settings. And if you click on these little 3 boxes right here, you can click on number 3 and adjust your power for each preset. That will really come helpful later in the game when you start getting a more permanent build, just because certain types of weapons may use a little bit more power, or may have abilities that drain certain power systems. So, something for you to experiment around once you get into the later stages of the game. However, for this will be fine for now. I'll fine tune it a little bit later. Alright, so we're going to keep going down here to follow the plasma trail.
Captain, the Borg have adapted.
And
These
now we have
vessels can
shielded
be fueled.
vessels. So as you can see, a button's popped up for a beam arc tutorial. Basically what that refers to is broadsiding. So as you can see here, I've turned my ship. That way both my forward and my aft phaser arrays can attack the enemy's shields. The reason that I would do this is because the phasers are really good against shields. The torpedoes are good against bare hull. So once you tear down the enemy's shields, you'll then want to jump up and fire torpedoes, because that's going to be a much more effective way of defeating your enemies. So, something to keep in mind, especially when you start looking at what ships you want. You have to think about your offensive configurations. So, now we're going to go and meet up with the USS Chimera.
Another Borg sphere is attacking.
Oh, and if you also would like to skip cutscenes, you can just hold the escape button and it will skip cutscenes. There are some cutscenes that you just won't be able to avoid. Unfortunately, that's just how the game is. But a lot of them you can skip. So, do with that information what you will. So, we're gonna fight the Borg sphere. Also, don't forget your bridge officer abilities, as that is very important in order to make sure you don't die. As you go, you'll be able to train your different officers and different abilities, which is kind of why I mentioned the specialization you choose will affect what you can do. I don't know, while we're fighting this, it doesn't really matter, if you can see skills, ground. So as you can see down here, as you unlock these different trees, you'll be able to do different abilities. So I can, for example, at this level, I will be able to train in either Lunge 3 or Sweeping Strikes 3. So, if you don't know much about the game, it's not really going to matter which one you choose at first, but that's just something to keep in mind when you're building future characters. So, also, if you need to rebalance a shield, you can just click on the little middle of your thing, and it will rebalance your shields for you. Just got Zarva. Alright, so as you can see, now we have completed the tutorial area. The next mission that you will have to do is Communication Breakdown. And if you want to see where you're at with your missions, you can hit J on your keyboard. You can go to Episodes, and it will show you all of the different missions you can do, and they're in order. So you start with the Klingon War, and you'll work your way down to Kings and Queens, which is the most recent expansion they've got. So I know you can kind of see where it's like, oh, well, you haven't completed it yet. It's just because technically you're not fully out of the tutorial yet. So go to the Pollux system. And I do apologize for this one being a longer one. I'll see what I can do in editing to kind of cut down on how much you have to watch, see what I can speed up, stuff like that. But that's the thing I like about Star Trek. Is if I'm looking for a good story, you know, I can sit here and I can do this, because a lot of these are really, they are long. Some of these missions, especially if you're, you know, a weaker character, they can take you upwards of 45 minutes to an hour to complete. So they really did a good job with creating a storyline that's not just, oh, go to point A, go to point B, you're done.
But there's
So
something off in the readings.
it is definitely a plus in this department.
This is Janeway.
So
Try recalibrating your
here, let me show you this.
This is
So you
Janeway.
get sometimes
We're detecting some
specific
unusual gamma radiation
options
levels
based on
in
your rating. So I'm a tactical officer, I can't do science one, but if there's one that comes up for tactical, I can use that option, which
Try
kind of
recalibrating.
just gives you a more desirable dialogue with whomever you're speaking with. So just something for you to
The
kind of watch out
multi-station
for.
sensor array has been recalibrated, Captain.
Picking up a transwarp signature. It's right on top of us. The board.
The Borg are attacking us as well. Use full impulse to reach us quickly.
You can go here, by the way, if you want to look for things. You can do like balance or distribute shields. You can do full impulse. Eventually, you'll get like evasive maneuvers. These will be somewhere you can get some of your abilities, and you can put them on your bar for a hotkey button. So, just something to keep in mind. I like to keep shields on 3, just that way it's very accessible for my finger, just to move up from the S key to the 3.
This is the emergency medical hub.
I've linked the Iota point to your map. Scan there while we see to the Kittimer.
Okay, so there's one major chunk after this, and that's going to be where you go down to the colony on Vega Prime. But
Good. Head for
again, it's
road
all
number
part
2.
of the tutorial area, so you know, I really do apologize for the video being as long as it is.
One last probe, and we should be able to assemble all of the data. Send us the data so we can begin our analysis. We have your data, and our
I have.
Borg transwarp signatures detected. All hands, battle stations.
They're firing. I need help.
More. I don't know if we're ready for this.
Hold the line. We've beaten them before, we can do it again.
Another thing that I definitely like about this is that they try to include the actual voices of the actors or actresses for their characters. So Catherine Janeway is being voiced by the actress who played Captain Janeway, or in this case she's an admiral, but in the TV show she's a captain. Seven of Nine is voiced by 709. Nog is voiced by Nog, so it does really work out that way, that, you know, that it just get to listen to the people in their actual roles.
I want to know where they're going. Concentrate fire on that spear.
So if you see the little red thing right there, that usually means they're going to either drain your shields or they're going to try to board you. So we've been boarded by the Borg, so we'll most likely lose one of our systems down here because we have Borg on board. So the easiest way to take care of that scenario would be to have tactical team, because that'll take care of whomever boards your ship.
All right, here's how I agreed. Voyager and it's not just a...
We have to make our way to Vegas.
Alright. Report to Vega. I'm starting to skip the cutscenes just so we can get through this video.
Allow you to remotely hail your contact by clicking on the hail.
You need to warn the Vega colony.
Congratulations, Lieutenant.
Perfect. Alright, so we're gonna go ahead and call it here just because it has been quite a long video so far. However, there still is one more part that we'll do in next week's episode, where we will continue with Assimilation of the Innocent, and then that will basically kind of complete the tutorial area, so to speak, and we'll begin actually getting into the episodes that I was showing you here at the earlier point. So stay tuned for next week. We'll wrap this up, and depending on how long that part runs, we may try to knock out Welcome to Earth Space Dock. So if you liked today's video, please be sure to leave it a like, subscribe, turn on your notification bells so you can be notified of our next episode. And until next week, I'll see you then. Happy gaming, guys.